Listen here, group. Today we're going to talk about a television show called The Interrogators. Welcome to Erratic Sleep Patterns, guys. So I just literally just found the show. I haven't even finished an episode yet, but I am in love with this show. Couple things to know before we get into it. This is about interrogation for crimes, and I can't talk about sensitive subjects. I personally am not a big fan of crimes and grisly stuff. I don't like the grisly details. But because I'm a weirdo, it kind of makes me wonder if I might be a psychopath. I love listening to interrogations. There is something so funny to me about two people lying to each other with the worst lies. I can't help it. Like, a lot of interrogations are super boring, to be honest, but every once in a while you hit like this pay dirt one where it's just like the cops are clearly lying, the suspect's clearly lying, everything is so silly, and I laugh. It's awful, I know. The other thing that I really enjoy is reenactments. Like, the worse, the better for me. I love reenactments. Tattoo Nightmares is a show that I absolutely enjoy and have considered making a video about, but I haven't really had a good angle on it. But I just want to show it off because I love the reenactments.
Change me from a racist to a pervert.
Well, you say that like it's a bad thing.
You can't win, man. I cannot win.
So today, just by pure algorithm magic, I found a show called The Interrogators. It's an A&E show that came to me after I was watching an actual interrogation, and it is amazing. It is a reenactment show of interrogation. So I think a lot of cops are dorks, and they really, really are. I mean, a lot of them can be awful too, but it doesn't mean they're not dorks. And it's so funny to me when actual law enforcement gets interviewed for like the true crime stuff. Because I've even had episodes of people I know on there, but it's so funny to me because they're trying to act so cool. So that's already hilarious to me. But rather than showing the actual interrogation and just interviewing them later, they apparently reenact the interrogation. And whoever's directing this show must love me, I think, because the shots that they pick are so ridiculous. I'm going to show two that I've seen so far in this one episode. I'm going to just play a spot and then but I'm not the one who's editing. So hang on one second.
If you want to tell me about it, I'd like to hear it. At least from your side of it, anyway.
So there's that. Like, the thing is, they intentionally did that. Like, that is a directing choice and an editing choice, and it's very fascinating to me. What is like? Are we trying to convey something here? But the first one that really got me is at the beginning.
Boyfriend were messing around and I found out about it.
Okay, well, Judy,
I love this guy. Keep watching.
how long have you known about Judy?
This started, I guess, in March. When he told me that it'd been going on, I wasn't angry. I guess because for once.
It's amazing. I love it so much. What are we thinking when we're doing this? So, because typically when I listen to interrogation stuff, I'm just listening. Like, I'll be doing other stuff while I do it. I wasn't watching this. I didn't know what this was. I'd never heard of it before. And this lady who they're interrogating is an actress, but I didn't realize that. So I was listening to it and I actually thought that she was pretending to be guilty. So I thought she was taking the rap for somebody else. So I thought this was going to be one of those twists where it turns out like, oh, they got the wrong person and evidence showed that like it was her boyfriend or something like that. But it just turns out she's an actual actor acting like that person. So so I need to start watching what I'm actually watching. So anyway, I am in love with this show. It's such an interesting show. I'll show you this part. So there's these two detectives. They're interrogating this guy who turns out to be a serial killer. And so it's like obviously a fake reenactment of the interrogation, and then also a reenactment of her watching the interrogation.
He's going to feel more comfortable talking to these things. With RJ, I'm just going to get up, leave the room, and give him some more time to build a little more trust.
It's a reenactment of her watching a reenactment. It's amazing. I think this is so funny. I don't even know if like this translates to actual funny because I am a weirdo. I used to be a 911 dispatcher. I hate listening to 911 calls, and maybe I'll get into that in some other video. But love interrogation stuff. It's so funny. But I kind of feel like I'm a weirdo in this and like this isn't going to translate well. But even still, I want to I want to dive a little bit deeper into the show. I want to watch a second episode and I will react as we go through just to point out the things that are so fucking funny to me. I'm also going to like cut out the gruesome crime details. Again, that's not the thing that I'm interested in. I hate that stuff. I like the fact that everyone's a dork. Before we get into the show, in case you don't know, cops can lie to you in an interrogation, right? They can say that they have evidence that they don't have. They can say they know stuff that they don't know. They can. I mean, it depends jurisdiction. Canada's got some different rules than the U.S. That sort of thing. But overall, they can be deceptive. And ideally, you should have a lawyer present when you're talking to law enforcement. So I just want to make sure that's clear. I enjoy watching suspects think that they're smarter than the police, and I love watching the police think they're smarter than the suspects, and really neither are true usually. So entertaining to me. But there are a lot of flaws with the way the procedure works. So just want to point that out. I'm well aware of that situation, but it's like anything else. There's like a certain suspension of belief as you watch these things, especially this one because it's not real. I'm very actually curious to what the actual interrogation footage looks like and what was actually said. I don't know, not being familiar with this show. I would assume the script is based on actual interrogation, and so some of the phrasing is probably the same as actual interrogation. I imagine though that some phrases, sentences maybe are even combined just to make it a shorter bit for people to ingest. But what are we saying again? These are all actors, so that's why it sounds like they're all lying. This guy has definitely got a mustache. That is pretty badass. Not gonna lie.
The victims are
Mm.
17-year-old Daniel Bennett and one of his good friends.
Just so it's clear, I just flinched and looked away. There's everything's blurred. You can't really see anything, but you can see in this instance, covered bodies. And again, I'm not in it for the gruesome stuff. So I don't like to see it. I don't like to think about it. I also want to say, I don't want anyone to think that I'm making light of any crime. I'm against crime. I'm certainly against murder and assault and that sort of thing. I don't think that that's what's funny. I think that it's awful. I personally wish that, like, I think the reason why I'm enjoying this show so much is because it's almost like the perfect scenario for me where you have two people pretending and lying, right? I could watch that all day, listen to that all day of people just lying to each other, but with no horrible crime in the background. That would be the best thing for me. Unfortunately, to get this sort of back and forth, real or in this case fake, terrible crimes have happened. And so I just want to reiterate, I don't make light of the crime. I think it's terrible. My heart goes out to everybody affected. I know what it's like to lose someone to sudden violence, and I just want to make sure that that part's clear too. Though the way I have this scene set up with my camera thing here, you wouldn't have been able to see it, but I'm not going to show it anyway because it did show a covered person. But this one includes police video and it labeled it police video. So that's, I guess, how we can determine that the rest of it is not police video. A lot of interrogations actually are videotaped so that they can go back over them, sometimes use them as evidence. It can depend and be thrown out and that sort of thing. But which is partly why this is so interesting to me. Now, granted, some of these cases are pretty old. This one was, I guess, 22 years ago, maybe 21 years ago when they were filming. And even if they had cameras and microphones back then to record the interrogation, older interrogation footage is so difficult to listen to and watch because the technology wasn't always there. I can't say what kind of technology that this police department had in the year 2000, but I wouldn't be surprised if it just wasn't usable, honestly.
The victim.
It's so interesting to me as I'm watching this, I'm thinking about this. So all of the criminals are actors, but it's the actual, as far as I can tell, the actual law enforcement members involved. I wonder the thought process in agreeing to it, right? Like I wonder if this is meant as like a teaching aid, and I'm not sure how. I haven't seen anything in here where they're like, I don't know, murder's bad. It is bad. I guess it would be the glory. I can only assume that the reason to do it is for the glory. And I don't mean to make fun of anybody. Like, if, good for you for solving the crime, and if you want to be on television, that absolutely your prerogative. I have no shade for any of that. I'd make YouTube videos. I don't care. I'm not judging on that sort of thing. But it's just such an interesting idea. Like, I understand the interview part. I just don't understand the parts where they're recreating, like, in this instance, him calling people.
We found a list in his pocket with a few names on it.
Ainsworth meticulously goes through the list until a break.
Right? He did that 20 years ago. And it's just funny to me. I just don't understand how you talk somebody into that, I guess. So many people, because there's more than one episode, and each episode is 45 minutes, and there's 3 interrogations in there. So I've seen 2 episodes now. So it's at least like what, 6, 7 people because the one had 2 officers in it. What do you agree to? What are you signing up for? It's so interesting to me. You know what would be funnier? And not at all correct thing to do. But what would be funnier is if they got the suspects or the, I guess in a lot of cases, because they'll tell you the results, the convicted parties, if they got them to come in and also recreate their parts. Now that is mind blowing. Obviously, they're not going to do that. But can you just imagine, for entertainment purposes, we popped them out of jail, put them on the set, let them talk about all the horrible crimes that they've committed. Now that's entertainment.
If you can find him.
Detective John Shields, a 14-year vet on the force, is brought in to help locate the suspects.
Okay, so this guy, you can see right here, is retired, and I would assume that he is now retired, was not retired at the time, which means he retired, and they're like, "Hey, can you come back and pretend when you were a detective and you were helping this other guy with the crime?" And he was like, "I got nothing else to do. Why not?" Love it.
Shields succeeds in tracking down Jesse.
Hang on a sec. I'm gonna move my camera. Maybe I should have had it set up this way the whole time, but doesn't matter. Okay, I'm just gonna push back just a little bit because, well, first of all, I love this board situation. But on top of loving the board situation, which I would love even more if it turned out that he never did that, it's just for the recreation. Because this is such a weird way to, like, a lot of detectives are working on more than one crime. And this guy's handwriting is so fascinating to me. Look at these T's. They're very slanty. This is good information in case they get a serial killer, but I mean, he's got a very unique handwriting style. It's very interesting to me. But anyway, I would love for this board to have not been used initially, and they just made it up for the interrogation or for the interrogator show. But I moved my camera over. I made it bigger so that I can show off a little bit, let's be honest. But because you'll see on this, it shows the date here. But again, if we learned from an earlier part, which I'm not showing because of the what was on the screen, but we learned from an earlier video that if it's like actual police video, it says police video. So this is a fake date. I mean, it's a real date. It's the date they did the interrogation, but this isn't actually that day. I don't know what date it is. I would guess 2021, 2022, because this video was uploaded 3 weeks ago. I don't know what their production schedule looks like.
I'm gonna move my chair over there if you don't mind. I hate this table.
First of all, I don't like to have any barriers. We have a table in the room. Some people use it, some people don't.
Shields will join Ainsworth in Jesse's interrogation.
Guys, it's me.
I need to know everything that you know. And we're not.
Okay, so here's something that's very interesting to me. Detectives, which I've known, don't necessarily dress up in uniform. And I mean, you've seen it on television shows, so that's fine. I would not be surprised to find out that this guy does wear a Hawaiian shirt or something while he's doing his detectiving. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's too weird or anything like this. This guy here, in his striped shirt and his shorts, a detective in shorts, I think that that is probably just because he's retired. But you would think, and again, I don't know. I don't know this guy. I don't know this department. Well, you would think for the recording, they'd be like, buddy, can you put on some fucking pants? I don't know what I would do. I don't want to be interrogated by a detective at all, even if I know them. But I don't know what I would do if a gentleman in shorts was telling me he was a detective. I don't know that I would believe it. There are a lot of police impersonators out there, and they're freaking weirdos, and you got to be careful. And a guy in shorts, to me, seems like one of those guys.
His demeanor was so closed. He's just all like this. He's really, really tight.
You told John that you were home by midnight.
So honestly, I would love to see these played side by side. And I don't know, maybe I can set something like that up as I watch these episodes. Again, brand new show to me. Learned about it an hour and a half ago now. So I don't know if I can find, these interrogations somewhere else, like the actual interrogations, because I'm so curious about the actor process. I assume that they watched the interrogation, maybe, or, they were at least told how the person acts. So, the detective described the tight body, but you see his like kind of nervous, like, and again, played up, but his nervous, like, foot shaking sort of thing, right? Was he told to do that, or was that his interpretation of the scene? Or did he see the interrogation and he's trying to mimic the thing? I'm so curious. This is so interesting to me.
But, I mean, you sit here right now and say, we went up there, we came back, we said,
To break Jesse.
I just spit on myself. That was so funny to me. The Again, what's so great to me, and it's just the overall idea, but what's so great to me is the direction and editing choices, the decision to show that scene. Where did that come from? Was it a natural choice? Was he told to do it? Was he remembering or trying to remember what it was like when he did the interrogation the first time? And he was like, I definitely remember shifting my pectorals up. How did it happen?
Well, in an interrogation where you have two possible suspects, you try and figure out who the weakest link is going to be because you're going to try and get them to roll on their partner. So
I
we're going
think
to
they
play
said
him
that in the
against the
last
other
one
guy.
too.
Let's talk to the weaker link, break the chain, move on to the stronger one, and make them believe that their house of cards is tumbling.
you're going to go down with me if we talk about it. One guy did all shooting.
Okay,
And his
so
head shot up close over me.
additionally, what's interesting, so you can see here, experiencing interruptions, find out why. And every time I restart the video, it takes a second for it to catch up because I don't have great internet here. That's part of the reason why I haven't been streaming. But what's interesting again for the choice is we know that this isn't interrogation footage, right? This is recreation footage. But they chose to make it really blurry and grainy, and they chose to blur out something here, which I don't understand what this is because it's rainbow colored. If I was in law enforcement, I would just enhance, obviously. But, like, I don't understand what the choice is for the filming of this. Like, I think it's supposed to make it feel like it's real interrogation footage, but if that's the case, just show the actual interrogation footage. You can have a whole show of old interrogation footage. It sounds terrible, it looks terrible, and maybe that's what they're trying for, but in a very, very different way.
You didn't touch a gun. I know you didn't touch a gun. But driving up there, covering up after the fact.
Okay, so watching this, I can see, so this is supposed to pretend like a date and a time. Now, here's the thing. The way that we can tell that this isn't real, aside from the fact that they didn't label it police footage, but is the fact that in the clean recreations in between shots, he's wearing the same shirt, right? They're wearing the same clothes. It's not like similar shirt or something like that for the recreation. It's absolutely the same thing. So it's so interesting to me that they're trying so hard to make it look like it's real. Do we need that? I mean, couldn't we just enjoy a fake interrogation scene? Like, are they trying to trick us into thinking it's real? And if they were, because like a lot of, if you watch the editing, the like close-ups and stuff, it's like it's the one shot, but then like they close up on the guy in the shot sort of thing. And it's even that is like choosing to do it that way, what with pretending it's real footage is still such a weird way to do it. The other thing that you can tell is often in these, there's multiple angles, which is not typically how they're set up. So like, first of all, I love this little nod that they show, but if we look at, oh, get back to that. See that nod? So So for again, if we were to assume and believe, which clearly this isn't, that this is real interrogation footage, how is this shot happening? So to okay, so I'm gonna replay it again, but look at so it's the shot, right? When he does the nod, where is the camera in this shot that we're looking now, right? Where we can see him looking sideways at the suspect for some reason because you gotta have your face toward the camera. But in this scene where he's looking toward the suspect, right? And then it has a reverse angle. Where is the camera for this reverse angle?
Okay.
Right? So for here, it would have to be like over this guy's shoulder in the wall, right? Again, in most situations, in a situation where they have cameras set up, they're typically like the kind of security cameras or old school type security cameras where they're like coming from the ceiling or whatever. I mean, I haven't been in an interrogation room in quite some time, and I only did it socially. But they come from the top, and I work in an escape room. We have a ton of cameras everywhere. You can see them, but they're all also still overhead. We don't have any like at chest or like waist level because we're not filming anything. We're watching. So it's just so weird to me that they're trying so hard to make it look real, but they're doing shots like this. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. I love it so much. I'm serious. Like, again, I know I'm the only one who's this excited about this, but this is the stuff I love. This is like candy for my brain. It makes me so happy because everything is so silly. The recreation is silly. The camera shots are silly. Everything is silly. I love it so much. I wish that I could get this from situations. Like, I wish there was a situation that could come up without major crimes happening to make something like this a thing because I have to hear some terrible things that I can't unhear to get this pleasure, but it's so good.
If he finds out I saved him,
See,
he
there's
won't
no
do
camera
anything
here.
after me.
There's no camera here. And even if there were, like, I would be very concerned why this police department is setting up a camera right here. Like, what is the point of that? The over the shoulder suspect camera so that you can see what the suspect's seeing? Is that for maybe the defense's side so the defense can see like what their suspect was or their client was seeing? And they could be like, okay, well, if you look at our footage, you'll see that the detectives were too close and it made him feel intimidated and so he had to say what he said. Like there's no camera here first of all, and there's no reason to have a camera here. It's so funny to me. Also, this guy's leg, the shorts guy, it's like freaking me out. Not because I'm against men wearing shorts, it's just because like said he's just hanging out in shorts in an interrogation room.
We know you didn't shoot it. Just tell us what happened. Just be honest.
Okay, I want to come back into this. So they got this retired detective to come back to reprise his role as other detective. And it's good that he's getting credit to be absolutely sure because clearly he played a role in it. And they're like, yeah, this guy was in there too. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I just love that, like, this is all that he's got. It's like off camera, right? You can only see his leg. And then every once in a while, he's like, yeah, you're going to do your burger. Right. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I just love it. It's like, yeah, I'll come back and I'll just like hang out over here and kind of mutter.
So if you correlate the crime scene to what he's saying, you can tie the two together and go, okay, that makes sense. I think he's telling the truth.
You see what he did?
Here's where this would make more sense to me, honestly, because I get the interview part, right? And I get them wanting to talk about the crime. Have no problem with that. I understand that for multiple reasons. Glory days is one of them, but also, just like, talking about crime situations and stuff like that. I got no problem with it. Genuinely, honestly, because I feel bad like making fun of people because I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. I just am enjoying this so much. But so, like, I get the talking head parts. I just don't get this, which I get. I mean, I get the gimmick, right? That's why this is happening, is the gimmick. But I just don't understand how you convince somebody to do their own recreations like that. Even in Tattoo Nightmares, I think that everyone's an actor, right? Like they come back and they tell their story and then they get some actor to do the recreation. They don't make the person who's telling the story and getting the tattoo do their recreation.
Playing drums and being in a metal band. Partying in my buddy's basement after band practice.
And so it's just very fascinating to me that they're like, yeah, we want to talk to you about this. Now show us how you did it. See, this is what I mean. So you see that? Like he comes out into the clean current camera time, same shirt, because it's all a recreation. It's so interesting.
How would I like Daniel remembered? As this happy-go-lucky, good-looking kid that got along with everybody. Everybody loved him, and he just needed to grow up some more, and he didn't get the chance.
Oh, my heart. See, that part is hard for me. Right, his poor mom. I think that, she probably participated because she wants to have the memory of her son live on and maybe even as a lesson for other people. Oh, I don't know. All right, I'm not gonna make us watch the entire 45 minutes. I'm going to watch the entire 45 minutes. I'm gonna continue to watch this. If I find something interesting, I might tag it on a little bit later. Might make a second video. But I just saw this. I love it so much. And previously, so I've been watching a bunch of YouTubers make videos about shows that I watch unironically. So I don't make those videos because they've already been made. But I'm like, wait, we could have made a video about that? My goodness. So now that I've seen this, I haven't seen anybody that at least I follow make a video about this. So I was like, I got to get on this right now. I hope this doesn't come off as crazy as it feels, but I don't know. Interrogations are fun when you subtract the awful parts of it, and recreations are fun. And when you put the two together, it's just something that is so fascinating to me. And I hope you find it fascinating as well. I did not post a video in November. I did record one, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I have mentioned this in a couple videos, but nothing that I've put up, I don't think. Maybe I have, but I'm currently working two jobs, and so I don't have as much time to get stuff done. I'm tired like all of the time, but I have so many ideas that I'm working on, like, including stuff that, like, if you watch videos from 2020, you'll be like, she never got around to that. It's still on my list to get done. And because my list at this point from all of the stuff I haven't had a chance to do is just getting longer and longer, I get anxious and anxiouser. And so it's actually been like genuinely freezing my progress because I'm like, can't do it. I'm not good enough and all this other stuff. It's not great. So I'm working through that. Hopefully, in this next while, I'll have so much output because I'm feeling good right now. And if I can just stick with it, I might be able to get out some of the stuff and lower the list. So hopefully you'll see some more output. But if you don't, just know that I'm trying, I'm working on it. And maybe my soul's dying a little bit because I'm still so far behind. I hope your soul's not dying. I hope that this video doesn't come off callous or cold because genuinely, I don't think loss of life is funny. And every time, oh, my heart hurts genuinely for the victims and for the family of the victims. But I like the absurdity of stuff that goes around that sort of thing. And I hope I can convey that correctly and that people understand. And if this is something up your alley, I hope you enjoy it. But if it's not, that's understandable too. Like I said, I think I might be just a weirdo, from working at 911 for 14 years. I think it melted my brain a little bit. That said, I hope you're having a good day. I hope your anxiety isn't crushing you, but if it is, it's possible to work through it. It just sucks. I know. I know. But if you're having a hard time, I completely understand. The heart is with you. Just keep working. Just take some breaths. Just be patient with yourself and I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye. Thanks for watching.